Hey everyone, welcome back to my channel. My name is USMAN, and if you are new here, I'm thrilled to have you join our amazing family. In today's video, I want to discuss the recent changes to the UK student visa rules for dependents. These changes have sparked numerous questions from many viewers and others. So I thought it would be helpful to address them. As many of you may already know, the UK government previously announced that students would not longer be allowed to bring their dependents to the UK. This decision has raised several concerns leading to frequent inquiries from immigration solicitors and legal advisors. On the 23rd of May 23, the former Home Secretary made a written statement confirming the government's plan to remove the right for international students to bring their dependents, except for those enrolled in postgraduate courses, especially designed as research programs. This change has already come into effect. Furthermore, the announcement was officially confirmed in the government's statement of changes on the 17th July 2022. In this statement, they outlined the amendments to the student visa application process, the rights for student dependents, and the transition from student's visa to the work visa. These changes primarily impact students who applied after 3 p.m. on the 17th of July 23 for a course starting on after 1st of January 24. However, students who commence their studies on or after the 1st of January 24 can still bring their dependents, but only under specific circumstances. The following types of students are permitted to bring their dependents to the UK. Government-sponsored students studying courses lasting more than 6 months and full-time students enrolled in postgraduate level courses at QF levels or above, which must at least 9 months or longer. Additionally, the sponsoring institution must have a proven track record of compliance as indicated on the register of sponsors. It's essential to be aware of these changes and understand how they may affect your situation. If you are planning to study in the UK, stay tuned for more updates and information on these topics. Thank you all for being a part of our wonderful community. If you are considering pursuing a bachelor's or master's degree in the UK, there are some important changes to be aware of. Previously, students studying a non-research based master's degree could sponsor their dependents under the student visa route. However, starting from January 1, 2024, this is no longer the case. Now, students applying for a master's degree must show that the course is research-based in order to bring their dependents with them. For undergraduate study, only bachelor students on a government-sponsored program of at least 6 months will be able to bring their dependents to the UK. This rule remains the same as before for previous students. To understand what qualifies as a research-based higher degree, you can refer to paragraph 6 of the immigration rules. According to this definition, a research-based degree is a post program that includes a research component and requires the production of original work. This work should be larger in scope compared to other accompanying components and should reflect significant students' effect. When applying for a student visa, you will need to obtain a confirmation of acceptance for study, that is also called CAS, from the sponsoring university. This electronic record serves as proof of your place at the university and is submitted to the Home Office. The CAS demonstrates that you have been admitted to the university and enables you to proceed with your visa application. Now let's talk about government-sponsored university. Many people have been curious about this, and here's the answer. Along with those pursuing a PhD and research-based higher degree, government-sponsored students studying a course at last for 6 months or more can also apply to bring their dependents to the UK. This is great news. It means that the fees for the course you are studying in the UK must be covered by a scholarship, including your living expenses, to be eligible to bring your dependent to a scholarship. The scholarship must be government funded and from a central government department, covering all fees and living costs for the students. So if the government is covering everything, you can still bring your dependents. For student dependents who were granted permission period to January 1st, 24, and if the students started their studies before 24, they will be able to apply for a visa extension. This applies even if the student doesn't fall into one of the exceptions in the new rules. The new rule don't apply to those who started their studies before January 1, 24. Even at the extension stage, you must continue to meet the relevant requirements for a student dependent. Meeting the requirement is crucial when applying for a UK visa because you always have to meet the Home Office requirements. If you fail to meet the requirements set by the Home Office, your visa will be rejected. In such cases, they may email you asking for additional documents, similarly to what they did with the other person. This information specifically applies to dependents of students who were granted permission after January 1st, 24. If the student meets the condition for bringing a dependent under the new rules and the dependent has been granted a visa, they can apply for an extension using the same process as those who applied before January 1st. Let's address a common question from student dependents seeking to extend their stay. Whether the student applies for a postgraduate or graduate visa, it doesn't matter if they started their course before or after 1st January 24. As long as the dependent was initially granted leave as a student dependent, the immigration rules allow them to extend their stay. Now, for those who have been seeking if they need to send their dependents back to their home country, there is the answer. It doesn't matter if the student started their course before or after January 1st, 24, as long as the dependent was initially granted leave as a student dependent. They can extend their stay. However, it's important to note that the main student must be granted permission to stay as a graduate in order for the dependent to extend their leave under this route. This brings me to an important point. Always make sure you complete your studies, as it can become a problem if you haven't finished your course. It's important to note that new dependents are generally not allowed on the graduate route, except in cases where a dependent child is born in the UK during a period of student or graduate leave. However, it's worth mentioning that the government plans to review the graduate route in December 23 with the aim of reducing immigration to the UK. Therefore, there might be potential changes in the future. Now, let's address another question. If you were offered the course acceptance before January 1st, 24, but decided to start there after this date, the new rule would still apply to your dependent. Moving on to the next question. If you study one of the eligible courses, do you need to submit your student application at the same time as your dependent application? If you are eligible to apply, your dependents can either apply at the same time as you or separately. However, if the dependent chooses to apply separately, they must ensure that the student has already been granted permission as a student before submitting their application. This applies to both applications made before and after January 1st, 24. Lastly, if you are a graduate student on a dependent visa, you must be wondering if you can work and study. If you are a dependent over the age of 16, there are no restrictions on the type of work you can do in the UK, except for being a training doctor or dentist or a professional supports person or coach. As a student dependent, there are also no study restrictions. I hope this information answers most of your questions. I will always share any helpful information on this channel. If you are planning to study in the UK as a dependent, you are not restricted from switching your visa. However, make sure that the student completes their studies before joining you on the new visa route. Otherwise, the application will not go through. If you cannot provide all the necessary documents and your visa has expired, your application may be rejected. In that case, you become an overstay. I hope this video has answered most of the questions. If you have family who are confused about students dependent, please share this video with them. I will continue to research and share more information with you in the future. Thank you so much for watching this video, and see you in the next video.